Today I'm hanging out by New York Aquarium over here, nice place, even though it's still closed. So this weekend I spent a lot of time programming. I did nothing but programming pretty much both days, and that made me think of something. Well, programming. But what made me think about is how we think about build versus buy in smaller companies. So a lot of companies I work with, like small vendors and such, usually we have a person who is either dedicated to programming, or there may be a couple of people who can program in addition to their normal day-to-day activity. They're able to do some kind of programming. They know programming language or something else. And when we think of an idea, think of like a problem we need solving, we're always think like, should we create our own application or should we buy it off the shelf? So let's talk about some of the considerations we make when deciding build versus buy, some of the things we always think about, and some of the things that we tend not to think about when we're deciding whether we should build a solution or buy it off the shelf. So what we usually consider is time it's going to take to build something, right? That's pretty simple. If we need to build like a complicated project that's going to take 6 months to build, and the salary of a person who's doing it or the team is so and so, then we can figure out how much it's going to cost and make a simple decision. Should we just buy that up front, or do we want to spend time in building it? Right? That's pretty simple. We're always thinking about that. And we generally tend to think about support. You know you're going to need to keep that person around to fix any kind of bugs, add features, because there are always going to be bugs, there are always going to be modifications that will need to be made. Project is never done. So we're going to have to consider keeping a person or one member of the team, or have a relationship with the company, something like that, so that we can maintain our software on an ongoing basis, because we know it has to be done. So what do we usually forget about? Well, first thing, who is going to explain the programmer about what they need to do? I would think about like, all right, well, we need tool to convert something. That may be simple to explain, but then maybe you have more difficult projects, like let's say you want to build a tracking software for your company. Well, who is going to explain to the programmer what features to build in? How are they going to work? You know, programmer isn't going to know what features you need or how you need the software to work. They know the programming language. They're here to do what you tell them to do. So you got to have a person who knows how to communicate, who knows how to document and how to explain to a programmer exactly what needs to be done. And let's say you get a person to explain to a programmer what needs to be done, you got to consider, can programmer work on their own for long periods of time? Or they're going to be bothering that person who's in charge of communicating, you know, every day, every few hours with questions and testing. Is the programmer able to work by themselves for long periods of time without bothering the rest of the team? Can they just take the project, understand what has to be done, and keep going with it? You also got to consider how easy it is to work with a programmer. Let's say you have a person in the company who knows how to program, and you giving them a task, some kind of assignment to do, but is that person easy to work with? You know, maybe he's been handling something completely different and they were doing it day in and day out and it was fine, but now their work style is changing. You have to communicate with them, you have to give them feedback, and maybe that person is terrible at taking criticism. You're gonna tell them like, hey, can you change this so and so? And they're gonna be like, what? No, you told me to build it like this. Or you're gonna say, well, I don't think I like the way it works. And they're gonna be all defensive. No, this is the best way. Don't mess with me. And you're gonna just get frustrated and not being able to work with that person. So are you able to communicate with that? How easy it is to work with that person in that situation? Will they take criticisms? Will they be cooperative with you? Or will they just want to do whatever they want to do and be done with it? Now, another mistake people in small companies make is they may have a couple of people who know how to program. So what they tend to do is they say, hey, can you and you, since you're programmers, take this job and write this program and do so and so. But they don't consider, are those two people even program in the same language? Like at work, we have, I'm a programmer, for example, and I write in C#, like I write business logic. And then we have another programmer who is a web programmer. And people kind of try to bundle us up together saying, well, they're just programmers, they can do whatever. But we're not. We're writing in different environments, in different languages, and we solve sort of different problems. And finally, the last mistake I want to talk about, let's say company is looking to buy software and the software costs, for example, I don't know, $100,000. And they say, wow, that's crazy expensive. So what they think of doing it, how about we just get like a junior developer straight out of college, we pay him $50,000. And if they take a whole year to build that, we're gonna be at half the price and we're gonna have our own custom solution. Well, that doesn't work out the way they think usually. What usually happens there is the junior guy will take a job, they'll just take any programming job because they need experience. So they'll start working, but they don't really understand what they're doing. They don't have a bigger grasp of a project. They're just gonna start programming and writing code just so they can collect a paycheck. And in the meantime, they're probably going to be uncomfortable and they're gonna think like, all right, I'm gonna need to deliver this in a year, you know. So what they might wind up doing is working there for like 6 months or so, getting some experience, and looking for other jobs. And at the end of 6 months, they would get a new job somewhere else, they quit, and now you're like $25,000 in, and you have a code that you can transition to anybody. You don't know what they did, you don't know where they saved it. It's just a mess, and you basically wind up throwing it all out. So the point of it, I guess, is if you have programmers in your office, don't think they can build anything they want for you. You have to consider their skill level, programming languages. You have to consider bigger picture. Will they be able to support the application afterwards, and so on. Anyway, I had a fun experience with programmers at work. Things didn't go out as planned. Please share it with me in the comment section below. I very much would like to hear about it. I will see you on the next video.